Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. In this video, we are going to cover the current affairs of 17th of April. For mobile optimized ebooks, please install GKToday Academy app. For regular updates, please join our Telegram channel. This is the name of Telegram channel, GKToday YouTube. So now, let's start. In the webinar series, Dekho Apna Desh, launched by Ministry of Tourism, which city was covered in the first webinar. So this Dekho Apna Desh is an initiative of Ministry of Tourism to provide information about the important destinations in our country. And in the first webinar in this series was about Delhi. So right answer is Delhi. And the title was City of Cities, Delhi's Personal Diary. Now, if we talk about tourism, National Tourism Day is celebrated on 25th of January. Present Minister of State for Tourism is Mr. Prahlad Singh Patel. Tourism Ministry was also in news as recently it launched a portal. The name of portal was Stranded in India. This was launched for the foreigners who were stranded in India at the time of lockdown. So this was a web portal. The Union Ministry of External Affairs, that is MEA, has announced a training program on COVID-19 for healthcare professionals of which regional group? So this was announced for SAARC. SAARC is South Asian Association for Regional Cooperation, and the training will be provided through ITEC. ITEC is Indian Technical and Economic Cooperation. SAARC was also in news as recently Prime Minister Mr. Modi announced SAARC Emergency Fund to fight COVID-19. The headquarters of SAARC is in Nepal, and recently Vinay Mohan was appointed as India's next ambassador to Nepal. Present Minister of External Affairs is Mr. S. Jaishankar. He is member of Rajya Sabha from Gujarat. World Economic Outlook is the flagship report of which international institution that recently lowered India's growth to 1.9% in the current fiscal. So this is a report of IMF, that is International Monetary Fund. So World Economic Outlook is a report of IMF, and as per that forecast, India is going to grow at 1.9%. IMF was also in news as recently it launched tracker of government policies in response to this COVID-19. IMF was also in news as recently former RBI Governor Mr. Raghuram Rajan was named in the external advisory group of IMF MD Kristalina Georgieva. Kiosk, that is COVID-19 sample collection kiosk, was developed by the laboratory of which institution? So this was developed by the laboratory of DRDO. DRDO is under Defense Ministry. Recently, a new department was created in Defense Ministry. It is Department of Military Affairs, and it will be headed by CDS. CDS stands for Chief of Defense Staff. First CDS is General Bipin Rawat. He was the former Army Chief. Present Army Chief is General Manoj Mukund Narwane. And recently, Indian Army launched Operation Namaste to provide help during this coronavirus pandemic. Now coming back to this Kiosk. So this is a kiosk to fight the coronavirus, and it has been developed by the laboratory of DRDO. And this kiosk has automatic disinfecting feature. So that means the health staff or the healthcare workers which are involved in the sample collection will not have to frequently change PPE, that is personal protective equipment. So this will be helpful in sample collection. And this kiosk has been developed in association with the doctors of ESIC Hyderabad. ESIC stands for Employees State Insurance Corporation. As of 2020, what is the maximum subscription an individual can make in sovereign gold bond scheme issued by the government of India? So this sovereign gold bond initiative was started in 2015, and it was started to reduce the demand of physical gold. That means to reduce the demand of actual gold, and instead of that, encouraging people to invest in this gold bond issued by the government of India. And as per this scheme, the minimum subscription for an individual in the bond is 1 gram of gold, and maximum is 4 kg. While in case of HUF, that is Hindu Undivided Family, it is 4 kg, and in case of trust it is 20 kg. That is, maximum limit is 20 kg. So recently this initiative was in news as a notification from Ministry of Finance was released, and the government of India has decided to issue sovereign gold bonds, and these gold bonds are to be issued in 6 tranches from April 2020 to September 2020, and RBI is going to issue these bonds on the behalf of government of India, and these bonds will be tradable on stock exchange within a fortnight of the issuance, and the time period of these bonds will be 8 years with an exit option after 5 years, and these bonds will be sold through SCB, that is scheduled commercial banks, except, note down the exceptions, so except small finance bank and payment banks. So except these two, these bonds will be sold through the scheduled commercial banks and through designated post office, as well as through recognized stock exchanges such as BSE, that is Bombay Stock Exchange, and NSE. Which mobile application is the fastest in world to reach 50 million users as per the announcement of Niti Aayog? So this mobile application is Arogya Setu, and it completed 50 million users in just 13 days. It has been developed by NIC, that is National Informatics Center, and it is available on both Android and iOS. NIC is under Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology. Now, if we talk about few other apps related to this coronavirus, recently Arunachal Pradesh launched COVID Care app. On the other hand, Bihar launched Corona Sahayata app. Apart from that, the Civil Service Association launched Karuna Initiative, and PhonePe launched Corona Care Insurance Policy, which is the first Indian state to get approval from ICMR for pool testing for COVID-19. So ICMR is Indian Council for Medical Research. It is under Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, and recently it approved this pool testing for sample collection. Now what exactly is this pool testing? It means collecting 5 samples in a one go instead of one at a time. Now if any one sample from these 5 is tested positive, then all these 5 will be tested individually. So pool testing involves testing up to 5 individuals in a single test instead of one sample at a time, and this testing is prescribed only in the areas with low prevalence of infection. So recently Uttar Pradesh became the first state in India to get approval from ICMR for pool testing. ICMR was also in news as recently it approved plasma therapy for COVID-19. This method of pool testing of samples was widely used in Germany. Which country has recently announced that it would stop the funding provided to WHO? Right answer is US. So we have already discussed this question yesterday. WHO is World Health Organization. Headquarters is in Geneva. The head of WHO is Mr. Tedros Adhanom. He is from Ethiopia. Capital of Ethiopia is Addis Ababa, and the recent summit of African Union also held in Addis Ababa. And after that, the president of South Africa, Mr. Cyril Ramaphosa, became the chairperson of African Union. The previous chairperson was the president of Egypt. Now recently, the former president of Egypt passed away. Answer in comment box, what was his name? World Art Day is celebrated on 15th of April every year by which global organization? So it is celebrated by UNESCO. The headquarters of UNESCO is in France, in Paris. So 15th of April is World Art Day. It is the birth anniversary of legendary artist Leonardo da Vinci. So 15th is World Art Day. 14th is World Chagas Disease Day. 12th of April is International Day of Human Spaceflight. 11th of April is National Safe Motherhood Day. 10th of April is World Homeopathy Day. And 7th of April is World Health Day. TLTRO route, which was in news recently, is associated to which organization? So it is associated to RBI, that is Reserve Bank of India. TLTRO stands for Targeted Long-Term repo operations. So recently, RBI announced that banks that have availed funds under this TLTRO route will have to deploy these funds within 30 days, and if they fail to do so, then they will have to penalty interest rate, and it is going to be additional 200 basis points in the repo rate. So repo plus 2%. Now, if we talk about RBI was in news as recently it launched a Twitter campaign to promote digital modes of payment. And for this, Amitabh Bachchan became the face of this campaign. RBI was also in news as recently it launched Money app for visually challenged people to identify currency notes. RBI was also in news because of Operation Twist. Apart from that, RBI was in news as RBI Governor Mr. Shaktikant Das was named as Banker of Year for Asia Pacific region. RBI was also in news as recently RBI allowed Bandhan Bank to open new branches, but the condition was that the Bandhan Bank will have to open 25% of their branches in rural areas where banking facilities are not available. Now, in the context of RBI, there is a term OMO. Answer in comment box what is the meaning of OMO. In 2020, which country holds the chairmanship of ASEAN bloc? So ASEAN is Association of Southeast Asian Nations, and it is an association of 10 countries, and ASEAN was formed in 1967 through Bangkok Declaration. So this year the chairman of ASEAN is Vietnam. Last year Thailand was the head of ASEAN bloc. Now recently ASEAN was in news because of a virtual summit of ASEAN members. The chairmanship of ASEAN rotates annually based on the alphabetical order of their English names. COVID Gyan, which was in news recently, is a website that was started by TIFR, that is Tata Institute of Fundamental Research, IISc, that is Indian Institute of Science, and TMC, that is Tata Memorial Center. So this website is going to provide information related to COVID-19. Apart from that, recently Karnataka government launched Corona Watch app. If we talk about few other initiatives related to Corona, recently Delhi government launched Operation Shield to fight against Corona. Delhi government was also in news because of its 5T strategy. Apart from that, recently Uttar Pradesh was in news because of Team 11 initiative to fight coronavirus. Answer in comment box recently for which country Operation Sanjeevani was launched to provide medical supplies in this time of coronavirus pandemic. Which international organization has launched an interactive service about COVID-19, and the name of the service is Health Alert. So the service was launched on Facebook Messenger and it was launched by WHO. Previously it was launched on WhatsApp. Now it has been launched on Facebook also. Now Facebook was also in news as recently Bipasa Chakrabarti was appointed as the new communication head of Facebook India. Apart from that, recently Vineet Arora was appointed as the MD and CEO of Paytm General Insurance. In addition to him, recently Ajay Mahajan was appointed as the MD and CEO of Care Ratings. The term LRF, that is long range forecast, is used to predict which parameter? So it is associated to weather forecasting. To be specific, it is associated to monsoon rainfall. And recently IMD, that is India Meteorological Department, released the first stage of long range forecast for southwest monsoon. And as per the forecast, the intensity of monsoon rainfall is going to be between 96 to 104% of the long period average. So this long period average of our country is 880 mm, and this average is from the time period 1961 to 2010. So this year the rainfall is going to be between the range of 96 to 104% of this long period average. Now if we talk about IMD, it is under Ministry of Earth Sciences. Present IMD chief is Dr. Mrityunjay Mohapatra. The headquarters of IMD is in Delhi. Which country recently organized parliamentary elections amid COVID-19 pandemic? So right answer is South Korea. So recently elections held in South Korea, and the party of South Korean President Moon Jae-in won the parliamentary elections. The name of his political party was Democratic Party. So his party won 163 seats in the 300 seats National Assembly. So these were the important questions of today's quiz. Thank you, and that's all for the day.